Ar became a leader when he raised a stone not as a sign, but as a weapon. He killed the leader of a neighboring tribe, and 2 camps ended up under one rock. Since then, he has been responsible not only for himself and his woman, but also for the children of the killed leader, for the elders, for those who look at him with hatred and still expect meat. He imposed order. Theft means more work. Break the night silence, stand in the wind away from the fire. Raise your hand against your own, you lose your meat. For the Ice Age, this is already politics. He has no words for law or power, but he does understand this. If everyone does whatever they want, everyone dies. But there is another memory, quieter. Once, children brought him a strange stone that did not come from their lands. Smooth, with a line of ochre and a small shell. It was not just a stone, it was someone's voice. That was when Ar first understood that somewhere there were other people who did not immediately try to take or to kill. They had left a gift and were waiting for an answer.
Seeing foreign gifts for the first time, Ar acted honestly by the standards of his time. He took them, a little dried fish, a bundle of roots, a string of green, bitter-smelling leaves, and left in return the best he had, a piece of dried reindeer meat and a strip of fat. He thought he had done everything right. But that night, there were other hungry ones nearby, and they were not humans. By morning, all that remained of his gift were scratch marks on the stone and greasy stains in the snow. Those who had laid the first gift came back later. They saw that their offering was gone, and in return, nothing. To them, it was simple. Someone took and gave nothing back. The exchange had not happened. They never returned to that stone. For Ar, it was a silent blow. He did not know that the culprits were not people, but animals. He saw only one thing. His first attempt to speak without blood had failed. But the land around does not stay silent. It is full of tracks, not only hooves, but human feet. Ar had heard elders tell of stones deep in the valleys marked with ochre and shells that could not have appeared there by themselves. He decides to search for other stones. The Upper Paleolithic was not a life in a single cave. It was constant movement. Groups of people walked for months, from winter camps to summer places by the water, following herds of reindeer and bison. Distances of tens of kilometers were part of everyday life. That's why exchange stones could not stand right next to camps. They were placed where paths crossed, on passes, by prominent rocks, near rivers, places that took a long time to reach, a day, 2, sometimes more. Ar chooses to go south. He walks not toward an enemy and not toward prey, but toward an unknown place where people talk through stone.
First, he hears not people, but water. The southern stone stands where the river narrows between rocks. The noise helps him find it from far away, a natural beacon. The stone is different from the others. On it are traces of the same gestures repeated again and again. A smooth upper surface, a scratched pattern, two intersecting lines and a circle. Worn spots where heavy things were often placed. Along the edge is a crust of dried fat, meaning food had already been laid here and someone tried to protect it. Beside it lie the southerner's gifts, a bundle of dark roots that can be stowed for a long time and boiled in a pit with hot stones, dried fish pierced with thin bone skewers, a small basket-like pouch braided from grasses, and most important, a piece of obsidian. Obsidian is volcanic glass. It is not found in every region, but where it is, people can make knives from it so sharp they cut like a razor. Ar does not know the word obsidian. He knows only the feeling, a stone that cuts better than anything he has ever held. The fact that such stones are found hundreds of kilometers from their sources tells archaeologists something else. People were already creating chains of exchange. From hand to hand, from camp to camp, a stone traveled like a silent story of its journey.
Ar sits by the stone for a long time. He is in no hurry to take. He sees that the southerners have left not what simply falls into their hands. Roots that must be searched for and dug up. Fish that must be caught, gutted, and hung about smoke. Obsidian that cannot just be picked up underfoot. He understands. They have given what cost them work and time. And he remembers his failure, where he had left meat, animals ate everything, and to those who came later, the exchange looked like cheating. In a voice, if the gift disappears, they think we take and do not give. To make the exchange fair, food must be protected, and the sign must speak not only for them, but for us as well. And then a thought appears that did not exist before. If the southerners have their own stone, their own place of exchange, then the northerners must have their own too. Otherwise, the exchange will be not between tribes, but between those who own the stone and those who only come to it.
On his way home, Ar does not choose a direct path. He is choosing a place. He needs a stone that is hard to miss, where animal trails meet, where there is a view over the valley, where he can light a fire and the smoke will be seen from far away. He finds such a stone on a rise between two valleys. It is not the southerner's land and not the center of his camp. It is the middle of the way. Ar clears snow and ice from the top of the stone, chips away protruding edges with a stone hammer. On the dry surface, carves a pattern different from the southern one. Not a circle, but a row of parallel lines, like finger marks in snow. In this way, he leaves a sign. This is a gift from those who live in a land where snow lies longer than grass. Red ochre is another ancient language. It was used to paint bodies, for burials, for drawings on walls and objects. It is found in places where it does not appear naturally in the rock, which means people carried and stored it as something valuable. Ar grinds ochre with animal fat, makes a paste, and draws lines over the carved grooves. The stone turns from ordinary into a speaking one. But the main thing he thinks about is what had ruined exchange before: predators. He scrapes a shallow hollow into the stone, smears the edges with a thick layer of hat so the smell fills the air around. He places meat and fat so part is sunk down and part is covered with a heavy hide and branches. Fat makes the surface slippery and strongly scented. It is harder for an animal to grab and carry everything off at once. Part of the food remains under the protection of the stone and branches. Ar lays down his gifts: dried reindeer meat, a hide treated with smoke and fat, light and warm, antlers from which tools can be made. Now the Northerners have their own stone, their own signs, their own territory of exchange, a place where no weapons ring and where, in Ar's design, people can speak without words even after he is gone.
Exchange is not an instant conversation. Here, days of walking lie between question and answer. One day, the Southerners find a stone with different signs. They see fat is not just drops on the snow, but smeared around the hollow. The pattern is unlike theirs. The Northerners' gifts, hide, meat, antlers, lie neatly and have not been touched by animals. They leave an answer: a new bundle of roots, more dried fish, a bunch of medicinal herbs, another piece of obsidian. Now they know it is valued. In this way, an invisible road begins to work. The Northerners bring to the stone what their land gives: reindeer meat, hides, bone. The Southerners bring what their climate provides: fish, plants, special stones. Ar changes not only things, he changes the idea of borders. Before, the world was divided simply us and everyone else. Now, a third place appears, a stone that is both not theirs and not foreign. It belongs to the road. Archaeologists find shells of sea mollusks tens and hundreds of kilometers from the sea, ochre where it does not occur in the local rock. This means that people were already creating long exchange routes. Stones with repeating marks and traces of fat may have been such communication nodes of the Ice Age world.
With each season, the northern camp changes. Children wear shells around their necks from seas they have never seen. Women sew clothing with bone needles that pierce more cleanly than old thorns. On spear points appear insects of obsidian, small but deadly sharp flakes. But Ar looks deeper. He is interested not only in what the Southerners bring, but how they get it. He notices that the fish is always of similar types and dried in the same way. The roots are tied so they will not rot. The herbs do not just smell, some reduce fever and pain. He understands that Southerners live differently. Where his life is reindeer and migration, theirs is water and fish. Where he has moss and lichen, they have roots and leaves. For him, meat for stone is no longer enough. He wants to exchange what people of the Ice Age lack more than anything else: knowledge.
The problem is that the stone says only one thing: someone was here. It does not say, "Come back then," or "Wait." Sometimes weeks pass between visits by the Southerners, sometimes a whole change of the moon. Ar cannot sit by the stone until the others arrive. Almost 40 mouths and a cold camp are waiting for him. And then he remembers another ancient language: smoke. In the Paleolithic, smoke helped drive away insects, scared off animals,
dried meat and fish, and served as a sign. People are here. Ar decides to try to make his voice visible further than 1 hill away. He brings to the stone green wood, damp moss, rotten bark, everything that makes thick, heavy smoke. Before he leaves, he lays on the stone an especially generous gift: the best piece of fat, a hide, a couple of sharp points. Next to it lights a small fire and covers it with wet moss and bark, forcing it to smolder, not burn. A column of smoke rises over the hill and hangs for a long time as a grey streak in the wind. It is not a wildfire and not a normal hearth. It is too dense and too long-lived. In different parts of the world, people would later use smoke as a signal language. The number of columns, their duration, and location could mean danger, gather, exchange. Ar has no code yet, but he has an intuition. If someone is searching for the stone with their eyes, they will see the smoke as well.
Now the stone speaks with 2 voices. At once, the fat and meat on its top call for exchange. The smoke above the hill says, "We are nearby. We are waiting." The southerners, seeing this, can react in different ways. Path 3B-1. Betrayal behind the smoke. They may see not an invitation in the smoke, but a weakness. Someone wants a meeting too much. Someone is showing where to find him. Then, one day, it will not be elders and women with gifts who come to the stone, but warriors with spears. They will take the gifts, follow the tracks, reach Ar's camp, and the exchange will end the same way a quarrel between 2 leaders once ended, with a stone to the head. This is a path where exchange turns into reconnaissance before a raid. Knowledge of another's abundance becomes a reason to seize it by force. The stone changes from a place of peace into bait.
Path 3B2. Meeting and exchange of knowledge.
But it may be otherwise. The southerners see the smoke, recognize the sign on the stone, understand that those who left the gifts are ready to wait not only for things, but to words. And then, one day, those who come to the hill are not warriors, but a mixed group. A couple of hunters, a couple of women, an elder who remembers the first exchanges. They plant their spear in the ground as a sign of peaceful approach. They lay down a new gift. They do not leave, but sit down a few paces away. Ar can answer in the same way. So begins an exchange that archaeologists cannot see in the stones, but whose traces remain in bones, tools, and traditions. The southerners show how to braid simple nets from sinew, how to build fish weirs in shallow inlets, which roots do not kill, but heal. The northerners show how to butcher a large animal so that not a single part is wasted, how to make composite spear points with insets, how to store fat in frozen ground for months on end. At this moment, no one is building cities yet. No one writes agreements, and no one knows the word trade. There is only a stone on a hill, fat on its top, lines of ochre, and bear footprints that return here again and again. But it is here that what will later become caravan routes, markets, borders, and alliances is born. Our only thought of one thing, that there should be enough food for 40 mouths. But by choosing exchange instead of a spear, he changes more than just his own winter. He changes the map of the world. Every time someone leaves a gift on a stone and walks away not knowing who will come next, humans take a step from fear towards trust.